Hello, everyone. Welcome to the May 2nd. Wild that it is May already. I don't understand where the time's gone, but it is indeed May 2nd. This is the May 2nd SIG release meeting. My name is Jeremy, and I'll be the host today. Before we get started, I just want to remind everyone this meeting is covered by the CNCF Code of Conduct, which essentially means please be excellent to one another. We are recording right now, and it will be available on YouTube. So please be mindful of the things you say. And if you'd like to not be on the recording, this is your fair warning that we are recording this, and it will be on YouTube going forward. I think Marco has dropped the meeting notes into the chat. Do it one more time just in case anybody joined after that. And we'll start the meeting off by welcoming any new members or any new attendees that are joining us today. If you'd like to introduce yourself, please do so. Also, please add yourself to the attendees for the meeting so we have an idea of who is here. And if you would like to volunteer to take notes today, that would be super awesome. Just go ahead and put your name down as note taker. If multiple people want to take notes, that would be awesome as well. All right. Do we have anyone that's new that would like to introduce themselves? Feel free to.
I'm Mickey. I'm not really new. I've been part of the release process, but I haven't been to this meeting in quite a long time, so newish.
Well, welcome, Mickey.
Hey, my name's Chris. I work for a company called RXM and trying to get more involved in the Kubernetes project in general. So this is my first time to the meeting.
Awesome. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, if the second one is, yeah, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, if the second one is new already, so yeah, it's my second time joining the meeting. My name is Amir. I'm happy to be here.
Hey, first time to be here, Togo. Trying to get involved more in Kubernetes things and OS in general. So yeah, happy to be here.
Awesome.
Hey, Ryan this side. So I am also new here. So I'm from India, and I work for a company called InfoCloud. It's based out of India, and I am trying to get involved in Kubernetes SIG release. I mean, trying to get involved. So yeah, happy to be here.
All right. Anybody else? Last call. Super exciting to see all the new folks. Love to see the new folks. All right. With that, we will move on to subproject updates, and we'll start with release engineering. Marco, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, so I don't think that we have many updates since the things are a little bit slower since KubeCon, with everyone catching up with all the things. But one thing to announce is Go 134 and 194 updates. Those are the pre-announcement went last week. Releases are supposed to go out today. There are a couple CVEs that are going to be fixed. So we are going to work on updating to the latest Go patch releases as soon as they are available. And they're definitely going to be included, hopefully, in the next patch releases, which are, by the way, in 2 weeks from now. So I think it is like May 18 or something like that, 17 probably. So yeah. And also KTHGCR IO freeze is live. I'm not sure who dropped this, but yeah, I have seen the PR get merged. So maybe you want to provide some update?
Yeah, so hi, it's Mohammed. So yeah, this PR got merged last week, right after KubeCon, which is great. That took a while, but finally landed it. So there are no images being published to the old registry at all, which is good. And yeah.
Hello.
That's great to hear. All right. Any other updates for release engineering? We have a couple of things in the open discussion that look like they're release engineering related too, but we'll get to those when we get to the open discussion. Okay. Do we have anybody from the 128 release team that would like to give us any updates? I think we do.
I can give a brief update. So
Okay. Oh yeah, sorry.
today is the last day where you can apply for the release team. So we closed the shadow application form in 5 hours, 6 hours, something like this. So a few new folks are in this meeting. If you like, you can still apply. And we will collect or basically brainstorm with the team. The team has like a selection time for a week. So until next week, we should have the team set up, and then we can start the release cycle. I can also paste the entire dates also in the meeting notes in a second. But everything looks good. We have a lot of responses.
There's always a lot of responses.
Yeah.
I think adding the notes or the dates into the notes would be useful for folks that are reviewing this afterwards, just looking for information. All right. We also need to identify a branch manager. So we're going to work on that and hopefully have somebody to nominate as branch manager before things need a branch manager. All right. Any questions for Leo before we move on? Thanks, Leo. Totally spaced too. Didn't mean to say that there was nobody from the release team here. They're obviously here. Okay, we'll move into open discussion now. And Marco, do you want to give us updates on the branch jobs?
Yeah, so that was quite fun one. As you may know, we had problems removing 123 jobs, and that PR was stuck for quite a long time because to introduce the issue, like the way we worked before is there was some trickery with release markers in a way that we usually had the latest release, for example, in this case, 127 marked as K-test beta, which is kind of wrong because beta is supposed to be used like until when cutting release branch to cutting .0, so 127.0. But we generally in the past used that for the whole time since cutting the next release branch. And some of the release tooling that we had in K-test infra are based on that assumption. So when branch managers run a command to generate jobs and to try to get rid of old jobs, that didn't work really well because, yeah, there are some assumptions based on that that are not going to work correctly. The way it should work, like when we cut .0 and ready to remove old jobs, we like push the latest release to stable 1 and then like do rotation and then remove the latest releases. So there were some problems around that, and folks were trying to solve that. It was like a joint effort to try to make it work. So thanks everyone involved in this. We managed to get rid of the 123 jobs. So I think that should be fine now. But I created some issues that need feedback. One of them should be this is about updating annotations, something that I was handling when doing stable 4, but that I forgot some of them, obviously. And another issue is about updating handbook, which is like the handbook should recap all the things that we did, and that 128 release team is supposed to do, because there are going to be some changes. Like you will not be able to run the make command like it was done before because some change, so there's some adjustment needed. And finally, what is like maybe the thing that is looking most feedback is that I propose that we rewrite those Python scripts, because those scripts are something that is written in Python and like they're doing some manipulation with jobs. And there is also those Python scripts are wrapped around 2 Go tools, which is config rotator, config forker. I basically propose that we get rid of those Python scripts so that we rewrite everything in Go and that we eventually have everything in a single binary so that we don't have this config rotate or config forker, that we basically have one binary that is going to be those two binaries in Go, and that's going to be all those Python scripts, and that you can basically run some Go command that is going to do the job for you. And that we can actually easier test, refactor, and overall use, because using Python scripts can be tricky. At least it was for me on MacBook. So there are some unhappy path with that. So please take a look at that issue, and if you have any feedback about that, let me know. I think there's also someone on Slack who volunteered to take care of that, like to help with rewriting the tooling. So yeah, if we agree on that, I think we can proceed, and hopefully it's going to improve the situation a bit.
Thank you for getting those over the line too, to make sure we could get rid of those jobs. That was useful for helping the budget out too. I think that we could see there was a curve going up on the infra side from keeping the jobs around. So it was really nice to see those get resolved. I think that rewriting those things into Go is probably a good idea. I don't know how extensive the Python skill base is within SIG release today. My Python is not great. But I think it would be easier to maintain things in Go going forward. So I vote +1 to that idea.
Yeah, that's basically the idea, because personally for me, maintaining and running Python, like I have some Python experience, but it is very basic, and like I think this is like a case for many folks. So I think this should be a nice step forward.
Does anybody have any strong feelings against doing this? Sasha or Carlos or Veronica?
I think we should do that. But
All right. I see some head shakes and some yeses and some thumbs up from Sasha. So I think it sounds like we have general agreement on that one, Marco. All right. Any questions for Marco about the sorry. I've had like a cold for like a week, and this cough will not go away. Any questions for Marco about updating the release branch jobs or any of the follow-up work? Marco, you said that there was somebody interested in doing some of that work today. Do you know if they are on this call?
I'm not sure. Sorry about that.
Okay, no worries.
But yeah, I will follow up with them on Slack.
Okay, let's if you can drop a link to the Slack thread and the agenda, that would be useful too. And it looks like Matthias asked, would it be into Krell or would it be another binary?
I think this is still not decided. I don't know if folks like have opinions. It can be another binary in K-test infra, because all jobs are there. So maybe it makes sense to put everything in test infra as it is right now. But if there are opinions like that we should have it in Krell, I think that is fine as well.
Cool. I think we can hash that out in either the Slack thread or on the GitHub issue.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. If anybody has any follow-up questions to that one, let's take it to Slack. Thanks, Marco, for dropping the Slack thread into the chat. I'll add it into the docs too. And then next thing on our open discussion is update to the release handbooks from Mickey. The floor is yours.
Cool. So this is a pretty trivial change, all things considered. It's just a documentation update. But I've been a shadow and a lead for a few Kubernetes releases now. And one thing that I struggle with is just finding the right documentation, especially for shadows in particular. I think if you've been part of the release process, you've probably encountered this before yourself, where a lot of shadows either don't know what they're doing or don't know what they're really getting into with the release. And so I want to figure out if there's ways we can remove friction in that process. And I thought one pretty simple way was just actually titling the documentation correctly for the docs handbooks, excuse me, for the different team handbooks. So right now, I'll share my screen for 1 sec. Oh, never mind, I can't.
Oh, hold on. I can make you a co-presenter, then you can do that.
Okay, either way, I'll post the link in the chat. But essentially, if you look at any of the handbooks today,
There you go. You should be able to share it now.
cool, thank you. If you look at any of the handbooks today, they're literally all called the blank leads handbook. And so if you are a prospective shadow or a current shadow, you may very well just think that this document is not right for you. Obviously, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see prerequisites for shadow is here. And there are situations in which we want to have the docs consolidated. You know, for example, if you wanted to have your shadows really understand what the lead role is, which is the point of the shadowing program, then it makes sense for them to be consolidated into the same documentation for them to follow. But with that being said, I think it might be prudent for us to just do something as simple as just retitling the handbooks from lead handbook into, you know, whatever team is, whatever the respective team is, that handbook instead. So this could just be Kubernetes docs handbook or release docs handbook. Alternatively, we could actually break it out into 2 different handbooks. I don't know if that's the best idea, just because there are circumstances in which the responsibilities for the shadow will actually change release to release, depending on the bandwidth of the lead. But I just thought it would be worth chatting about so that we could come to a conclusion on this and try to make some changes.
I think that that's a pretty reasonable change. I don't know that splitting them is the way I would go. I think that retitling it, that seems like a pretty simple change. Kubernetes docs release, Kubernetes release docs handbook sounds good, and probably something for the rest of them. Leo or Xander, as former leads or emeritus advisors, what are your feelings about that?
I like it. I think this is a great change. Just by retitling the title, I think this is already, I mean, this is the first thing which you see. So if you're interested in joining the team and you see this is the lead handbook, I can see that some folks are maybe a little bit confused and maybe are looking for a different document. And also making it clear for new folks joining the team what they're getting into, I think also makes sense. And we can also improve maybe some sections. But in general, I think it's also good to have everything in one document. So the shadow basically they also should observe what the lead is doing. So if there's like some small additional work, what the lead is doing, the shadow should be aware of it. So splitting it into 2 files, maybe in some cases makes sense, but in general, I would keep it together, or make sure at least that the shadow is aware somehow. But I think your proposal is like a great way. Yeah, I like it.
Veronica, go next.
Well, yes to everything that Leo said. And additionally, there is the part where when we're leaders, we're good technical ability, but we have discussed a few times in other meetings that when we're leading in this context, it is very important to show our shadows or collaborators how to do things. Because in the past, I'm glad that this is not an issue anymore, but in the past, the shadows would complain about not having the right tools to know how to proceed because leaders were just expecting them to grab tasks. So a good middle ground was like to consolidate the handbooks, and as Leo said. So yeah, yes to changing the title, but also a reminder that that if anyone here, including myself, is like in a position where we have people shadowing us, to be very clear about what we expect from them and show them where things are and what tasks we're expecting them to complete from that handbook, etc., so that there is no room for like confusion.
Thank you for that input, Veronica. And Chris, thanks for your comment in chat. Feel free to come off of mute and say that if you want. And Matt, you have your hand up as well. Is it Matt?
Yes, you got it. Yeah.
Have your username, but
Yeah. No, I agree. As somebody who's just sort of I'm fairly new, it is difficult to get further in or more involved without knowing what I'm committing to. And so I have also found that maybe having documentation that is geared towards this is how you get in and these are the responsibilities of what a shadow would be like, and these are very specifically what you would be expected to do, so that I don't feel quite as unconfident in order to volunteer, because I don't want to volunteer my time and then not be able to accomplish the things that are expected. So that's a big concern for me, and it has kept me from volunteering to be a shadow yet, because I don't fully grasp like what exactly will be my time will be.
Do you think it'd be worth adding like a top level, what's a lead, what's a shadow document in addition to all of the ones that are team specific?
Definitely, if you had a document dedicated to shadowing, that would be great. Especially if it said, these are examples of what shadows have done in the past. Like, here are maybe specific issues. Here are some things that they have worked. Here's an idea of what maybe would be your responsibilities in the next thing. This is when you have to volunteer by. Like, all of those things have been all of that could be a little bit more clear in my opinion. Although, I'm not 100% like.
It's good feedback. The only thing I would say about that is that, as I said in the comments, is that the responsibilities usually depend on the sub team and on who's leading it, but also on the shadow. Depending on the sub team, we have had people who are more experienced technically speaking, and then people who are newer. So depending on that, the lead feels comfortable in different responsibilities. So, but this is definitely useful feedback. Something that I have like right now is as an idea could be like, since leads are chosen usually before or by the end of the previous cycle, they could write up something like minimum expectations or time commitment, something like that. This is just a quick idea that we can obviously formalize and discuss, so that when the shadow application forms are out, too late now, but for the next cycles, people applying can have like a little base of expectations.
Jim, the floor is yours.
Cool. I just wanted to echo with Matt, what you're saying. I wanted to point out one thing I always love hearing new contributors or folks who are getting new into contributing to any of the SIGs. There's such an invaluable perspective from being that newcomer entering into, I guess, the contributor world. So like, Matt, as you were talking, I was like, there's some shadow docs in, like, at least for SIG docs at the very least, in that leads doc that we were talking about. And I realized it's the wrong reaction to have. It's like, you have such a fresh perspective. If you're not seeing this stuff, and if it's not surfaced up, whether it exists or not, there's an issue there with information discovery. And so I just wanted to call it kind of the meta task or meta role of folks who are new to contributing. When you see stuff like this that doesn't make sense or the information isn't there, one bite-sized contribution is fixing the documentation or clarifying the documentation of, how do you make it better for you? It's a really small bite-sized task. You can clarify a sentence, you can clarify a document. So I just wanted to validate, Matt, from your opinion there. You have such a great perspective coming in new, and you only get to be new once. So I definitely think you should key off of that. And then the second thing I'll say is, I haven't thought about this too much, but hearing that there's kind of an information discovery issue, I wonder if it makes sense creating some sort of like ks.dev kind of top level documentation for the release team contributors. That might be a bigger bite than we're willing to chew right now, but kind of surfacing it outside of GitHub and making it more discoverable via Google search, via some of the other avenues to get in. And for those who don't know, ks.dev is like the contributor site, and ks.io is more of like the Kubernetes product site, if you will. So ks.dev has more specific guidelines for contributions, and maybe there's an opportunity to surface that up.
Thanks, Jim. That was really good. Dad. You got a bunch of hearts in the chat. Okay.
Cool. Should I cut a bunch of PRs for docs updates? I don't think it'll take very long because it's just retitling.
Yeah.
Please.
All right, cool.
All right. Any updates or any questions, I guess, for Mickey? All right. If not, I think that brings us to the end of our agenda. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to cover today? Otherwise, we can end it a little bit early today. All right. Well, hope everybody has a great Tuesday or almost Wednesday, if it's almost Wednesday for you. And have a safe week.
Thanks all.